Hey, welcome to the Insurance Buzz. We are your host, Michael and Courtney Weaver. We have a special guest with us today, Miss Katie Myers. How are you, Katie?
I'm wonderful. How are you guys?
We are so good.
I'm a little cold coming back from our vacation. This is our first podcast we've recorded since we came back from Costa Rica. So I'm chilly. This is post-holiday. We're going to get into it, though, and we're going to have a really juicy conversation because you have quite the interesting insurance story. So tell us how you got here and how you navigated all of that, because I want to hear, because it's not just one spot and stop. So how did you get to this spot where you are right now in insurance?
Yeah, so I never set out to, I don't think many of us grow up wanting to be insurance agents, but I never set out to do this. I've done a little bit of everything. I had my kids really, really young. I was divorced at 22 with two kids under two. So at that time, I worked in a cheese factory for a few years, which I think is required. I'm from Wisconsin, so we got to put in our time at the cheese factory. I did that for a few years, and then spent the bulk of my career before insurance working with people with developmental disabilities in both group home settings and foster care settings. And I really, really loved that work. But then I met my husband, who we've been married now for 10 years. And while that was a job that I thoroughly enjoyed, I burned out. I burned out pretty hard on that career. And when I met my husband, we knew I needed to do something that would make more sense to grow our family and something that was less demanding. So I actually went to go work in a daycare for a couple of years, and hated every moment of it. I love my children. I love being a mom. I was not built to take care of other people's children. So after that, I fell into actually working in Orange Theory Fitness in membership sales, which is a large boutique gym. It's very high end. At that time, memberships were about $150 a month. I was a good 60, 70 pounds overweight, and I was killing it in the sales. And that kind of got me thinking, I really liked this sale. That was my first experience doing anything sales related. I really liked it. I thought there's got to be something out there where I can make a better living, because I was, not even making $30,000 a year at that time. And actually a Facebook friend who I've never met said, I think you'd be really good at insurance. So I came home one day and told my husband I thought I'd be good at insurance, and the rest is history. At that time, I started interviewing with many different companies. Oddly enough, I never interviewed with State Farm. It wasn't even on my radar. I ended up going with Country Financial. I was there for about 2.5 years. I loved working there. It was a great opportunity for me. I learned so much, but I met with every single recruiter that called me. And that's my advice to every person new in the insurance industry. Meet with all the recruiters, find out what's out there. And what I thought is, I don't know what I don't know. And there's a lot of great opportunities probably out there that are a better fit for me and my family, and I won't know unless I explore them. So I learned about the State Farm opportunity, was absolutely fascinated when I found out about what a great opportunity it is. And I went to go work for an agent, was in the agent aspirant program for about 18 months, and then opened my doors to my office on March 1st of 2020.
That's a hell of a time to open your doors.
Yeah, no, it was interesting. Yeah.
Well, I definitely want to dive into that, but I love your opinion on meeting with as many people as possible, because I love that, and I would also recommend that. Me and Courtney talk about that all the time, because every opportunity within the insurance industry is a little bit different. And so it's very unique. And so depending on what people are looking for. So I love that that's what you tell folks that may be coming to you for advice on future careers. But what was it like starting your insurance business brand new in the heart of COVID?
Yeah.
Well, it was unexpected. And, any of us who have been through the State Farm, training, one of the things we learn is to prepare for the unexpected, because we're insurance people and that's what we do. But there was a lot of talk around what's your plan if your office floods or if there's a fire or you're sick or something like that. No one ever said, what do you do if there's a global pandemic? So I was not prepared, but none of us were, right? So it was definitely interesting. I think I'm actually really, really fortunate that I did start at that time because I learned a lot. And I'm also somebody who I've always gotten business through networking and events. So that kind of, my whole business plan went out the window. But we were really fortunate. We fared so well in the insurance industry, I think, as a whole, and just we were so safe. I saw so many people that lost their jobs or went through so much instability. We did really, really good in the insurance industry. And even though it was not something that I thought was in the cards for my first month in owning a business, we figured it out. I had a great team at the time, and we're still here. So.
Okay, so I have to take a moment because this is when, I mean, I remember exactly where I was when it was like the world started to shut down. So you come into this as an insurance professional and you have a business plan. This is just business in general, where you have a general idea of how you're going to attract new people. And especially if you were talking about networking and community events, what was the shift? So you have all of this, everyone's shutting down. Were people still working? How were you bringing in new business when essentially the world is in chaos?
Well, we got really creative. One of the things we had the best luck with is I started a little free pantry, and I literally bought like a $10 tote from Walmart and put a sign on it outside my office, and then I'd go to the store and spend 20, 30, and I didn't have a lot of money either. It was my first year. Spend 20 or 30 bucks a week filling it up with shelf stable things, and I do a lot of social media. We blasted that on social media. We got so much business from that, just people saying that they appreciated what we did in the community. I also started a Facebook group with one of my team members that was to support local businesses in the community. So we ended up getting, I think we had like 5,000 members within a few weeks, and really showing that we were there to support the other businesses in the community. And also, this is a brand new community. I knew my team member from this town. I was living 45 minutes away. I didn't know anyone in this community. So that really helped quite a bit. And just getting out there and promoting it. You guys know this because I reached out to you, but I am a relentless with self-promotion. I wear my shirt everywhere. I have a wrapped vehicle everywhere. And I got us on the news to talk about what we were doing with the little free pantry and this Facebook group to support businesses. So really we got creative and it worked.
What does your mom always say? If you don't toot your own horn, nobody else will.
Absolutely.
Like, you know what? You got to promote yourself.
Yeah.
I love that. All right. So social media, I love that you dug into that as a new business owner. I've got to ask though, because starting a business in 2020, I can imagine starting a business anywhere is always difficult, but especially in the heart of COVID. Now looking back, all right. So you've had 2 years under your belt, now 2.5 years. Is there anything that, hey, I could have done this differently, or wish I would have done this sooner or faster, or is there anything you would have done a little bit different that first year?
That is a really good question. I think sometimes I look back on COVID and all the decisions we had to make, not only as business owners, but as parents and everything. And I wish I would have handled some of those things better. And maybe, that first month of the pandemic, I had a crying fit every day. I wish I would have handled that a little better, but I think we did the best we could in the time that we could. I think there's a lot of things I learned about being a new business owner in the first year, and probably the biggest lessons I learned that first year were around managing a team. I had, some things not work out the way I hoped they did, so I learned a lot of hard lessons there, but that first year was great and horrible and scary and wonderful, and I think I did the best I could with what I had. So,
what was the hardest lesson that first year? Because I think managing people is always difficult, but I always like to look back, especially if you've had 2 years, to like, is there a moment that you can remember in those crying fits, or what that looks like, of like, what was the hardest thing that you had to learn from a management standpoint?
I think one of the hardest lessons that I've learned, and I've been in like kind of pseudo managerial roles before this, not as much responsibility as owning your own business, but I have learned to be really quick to let people go that aren't the right fit, even if they were the right fit for the first few months or years that they were there. And I think the light bulb moment for me was when you see a team member and their poor attitude or performance or whatever's going on with them is affecting the rest of the team, that's the moment that you have to make a decision. And I learned very, very quickly that you can't sit and wait, and that if it's affecting your team, you have to make a decision and move forward and just believe in your decision. We'll never know if it's the right or the wrong decision, but you have to move forward and stick to your guns on it. And that's a hard thing to do. It's hard anytime you have to let someone go. I've had to do it this year too, and it wasn't any easier. It's maybe even gotten harder, but you have to do it when it's affecting the rest of the team.
I love that. It's like the old, like the automatic thing that came to my mind was hire slow, fire fast. But that's what you just hit on. That was one thing that I personally really struggled with, because as a small business owner, you start to form relationships with your team members. They become friends. All of a sudden, they either are underperforming or they may not be the best culture fit. And so it is, I love that that's something that you jumped on, because I think that's a lesson that all business owners, especially new business owners, the sooner you can learn it, the better off you're going to be.
And being able to separate myself and doing what's best for the business, because I know that letting someone go is never the best thing for them, that nobody wants to be in that position. That's not a good position to be in, but I have to do what's best for the business. And it's hard to be like, it's the business, when they know that I'm in charge of the business, but I have a responsibility to my family and the rest of my team too, that the business does as well as it can.
Yeah.
So you have a question?
Well, I asked her for sour, so I want the sweet. I asked her for the hardest part. Now I want to know what the best part of your first year in business was.
It was everything. I know I made a post at the end of the year on 2020 about what an incredible year it was, and some of my friends were like, why would you say that? It was kind of a rough year for everybody, but it was the best year ever. This was a huge dream. The first day I turned the keys to my own office was like the greatest thing I could ever imagine. It was the best day of my life. I have 3 kids. Those were good days too, but like, you don't know them that well when they're first born. I knew that I wanted to do this office and this is what I wanted with my life. So I was so happy with that. I finally got to a point, there were so many years where I was building my career and so passionate about getting to the next level and getting my office. I refused to go on vacations with my family and take time for myself. So in 2020, I got to take some trips with my family and spend more time with them, and just everything was great. That sounds crazy because it was such an insane year, but I'm so proud of what we did that year. I'm so proud that we made it through. We survived that first year of business, and there's nothing I'd change about it, the good, the bad, and the ugly.
Yeah.
So I definitely want to come back to something you just talked about as far as like that. I don't call it balance, because I don't think there is such thing as balance. I think it's just life, and we kind of figured this bad boy out. But the one thing I want to talk about before we get into that is what made you jump in, because a lot of business owners struggle with social media. They struggle with social media marketing, having a social media presence. What made you like tackle that year one with all the other pressures that get put on you just as a business owner from the company maybe that you're representing? Like, what made you jump into social media and really run with that and tackle that?
I've always been really big into social media because I personally enjoy it, which I think is a key thing too. I mean, we all go to all these conferences and meetings where they're telling people you need to do social media, but if it's not something you really have a passion for and understand it, it's going to be really hard. And when I say I'm on social media, I hardly ever post on Instagram. It's mostly Facebook because I'm comfortable there. I know what I'm doing there, and it's crazy to not be there. I mean, most of the things that I learn about and businesses that I use and products that I order come from what I see on Facebook. And when we were all locked in our houses, nobody would have welcomed me probably any time to come door to door, and they certainly weren't going to in the middle of a pandemic. So that was what I thought was the best way to reach people, and it's definitely paid off, and we're going to keep doing it. I'm trying right now to start getting into TikTok and doing more of that social media, because I think that I need to expand where I am, but I just naturally gravitated towards it, and that's what made it easy. I think it's really hard if it's not something that you care about or really get.
And did you say it was Facebook that you primarily really tackled?
Yep.
Yeah, Facebook was always our number one social media producer in insurance as well. So
I am a huge social media fan, so I want to keep diving into this.
Let's do it.
For sure. And Katie, I think I cut you off, so go ahead and finish what you were going to say there.
Well, and we get a ton of business from social media, and it's not from my business page necessarily. I mean, we have some people that'll drop in and say it's because I'm Facebook friends with everyone I'd ever met, and my friend from 8th grade gets mad at their insurance company, and they give us a call because I'm constantly sharing the business post. We're always talking about the office. I just want when people think of insurance that they think of me, because they're probably not, I mean, there's not a lot of other people marketing themselves as aggressively, and insurance is not something fun and sexy. I mean, I think it's fun and sexy, but most people don't think so. So I just want people to think about me with insurance, and we've caught so much business that way just by keeping ourselves top of mind. I think that's what it's really about.
So what exactly are you posting that is getting, I think this is a big question that we get a lot, is what are you posting that is getting engagement on a topic like insurance? Like, how are you self-promoting that?
So no one, and you guys know this, I mean, no one really cares about insurance but us. So when I see the most engagement, it's really from my personal posts, and I post a lot of personal content. I mean, we're connected on Facebook. You guys have seen it, and it's very strategic. I am a little bit of an oversharer just in life, but it's really about just making people, because people do business with people they know and like. And if people feel like they know me, they like me, I'll run into people and they'll say, oh, I saw your kid did this and it was so great. And it's because people feel like they know me, and that's why I post so much. So I would say the most engagement I get comes from that. I sprinkle in, an insurance post here and there to remind people what I do, but it's a lot of, even my business post, most of it is like, I'll post a silly picture with the cutout of Jake, or if we're at an event, or, hey, we ordered lunch from this local restaurant, check them out, stuff like that.
I think that's great. If somebody out there is listening and going, okay, so I'm doing all of that. I'm posting my kids, I'm posting my life, like I'm sharing. How are you converting that from just eyeballs scrolling to actual customers? Like, what's your process of bringing them in and converting them into loyal fans?
That's a great question. One of our corporate partners always says, she says, sometimes you think you don't have a process, but you have a hidden process. And I think that Facebook is kind of that. We know we're doing it without really like knowing what we're doing. I think it's just staying in contact, being responsive, which is something that I always am striving to be better at, and making sure that we're just out there reminding people of what we do. I don't know if you've ever read the book Jab, Jab, Punch by Gary Vee. Yeah. That's like one of my favorite books, and I think about a lot with social media. It's just a matter of, you have to have that balance on your social media of, I'm a person, connecting with them, commenting on people's stuff, being friends with people. That's another thing I hear a lot of people say when it comes up with social media, like, well, I'm really private, I don't want to be friends with, well, then you're not going to get business from it if you want to be private, or figure out how you can be public with keeping what you need to keep private. So that's really important. Just figuring out, you just got to share. And that's what I'm learning with TikTok too, is I don't know what I'm doing, but I'm just going to keep putting content out there till I figure out what works, because it's definitely going to be something different than what's been working with me on Facebook.
Yep. Content's king.
Yeah. And I love that you're just taking action, because I think that's really how you learn, not just social media, but anything. Like, that's how you're going to learn, is just by trial and error. And that's also how you find out what your audience likes too, because there's a lot of things, I'm sure, Katie, that you don't share because it didn't really hit, or it's like, okay, this isn't relevant.
Yeah, absolutely. Yep. And finding out what people want to respond to and what they want to see and what they find entertaining. So, and I don't spend a lot of time thinking about it. I just post it. If the dog's doing something funny, I'll post a picture of it, because people can connect with that because they have a dog too, and things like that. So just being relatable, I think, is a big piece of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I love that you brought up Gary Vee's book, because that's something we teach on. Not that book, but like the concept of value, and then put something out insurance related, asking for something. And I think that you got to figure out your brand. What are your brand pillars? What do you want people to know you for? Obviously, you want to be known as the insurance professional and the money person in your community. But what else? So, family person, you got kids, you have pets. And so I love that you're doing all of that. You're right. Your social media is definitely fantastic. I actually told Courtney that before we jumped on this. You're very active, and that's important.
There's a two-part to that, though, and I want to make sure that I drive this point home to our listeners, is that we can just scroll your social media all day long, but you were asking, like, you pitched and put yourself out there in a DM via a voice memo to where we had to listen to it to hear what you were saying. So I would guess that that's part of your process when you're talking to potential customers as well, is really not just being a passive observer, but you're going for people like, hey, I know that you're following, I know you like this. Like, I would have to assume that that's part of your process.
Yeah, I think, and that goes back to no one's going to toot your horn if you don't, or whatever Michael said your mom says. But it's true. It's putting myself in the position. I'm putting myself in the position to do business with these people because they're connected with me on Facebook. They're seeing me on Facebook. They're seeing, I tag my friends and things, so they're seeing those posts too. But also I need to, when I get that opportunity, to be able to act on it. And I tell, every person I talk to that's a potential team member, people in the community I speak to, potential customers, we're the best company out there. I'm a firm believer in that. And I'm also a believer that our office is going to take better care of you than any other office out there. So I'm doing a disservice to the general public by not giving them the opportunity to be my customer. We do a great job for our customers here. So we want to spread the word. And if we're not spreading it, like, no one's going to spread it for us. So it's about being aggressive. And I wouldn't say that anyone would describe me as aggressive. I don't feel like I come off as, aggressive in a bad way, but you have to be assertive and be able to put yourself in the position. And when somebody complains about their insurance on Facebook, I'm the first one jumping on there and saying, hey, give us a call. I just sent you a message. Like, that's my phone number. Give me a call tomorrow. I think I do a lot of that too, which I think that, some would argue maybe I'm sitting on Facebook a little too much, but it's work, and I'm sending people messages and just saying, hey, give us a shot.
Yeah, that you bring up another good one. Like, how do you do you have a certain process or like a certain times of the day that you check social media, or that you get on and do social media, or you're just whenever you feel like doing it, you do it?
Whenever I feel like doing it, I do it, and I'm on there constantly. And I've also heard people say, well, I already posted, I can't post it. Like, I will post sometimes 7 times in a day, and then I won't post for 3 days. It's just, whatever strikes me. Yeah. No, I love that. So let's talk a little bit about what the last couple of years have looked like. So from a brand new business owner in 2020 to now we're wrapping up 2022. So you've got 2.5 years under your belt roughly. Yeah.
I'm sure there's been some ups and downs. What does it look like?
There certainly has been some ups and downs. Our first year, it was a partial year. We fell a little short on our goals, but I was really, really happy with where we ended up with the pandemic thrown in there and everything else. We ended that year great. We set ourselves up for a great 2021. And we did. We had a phenomenal 2021. Beyond my wildest dreams, we hit some huge promotions within the company. I hit a level in my business that's a pretty big honor in our company. And, it was in my business plan to hit that by 5 years in. And I did it my first full year, which was incredible. But the down that came with it is, with all the celebration of everything that went so great last year, and our year just culminated in such an amazing year, I started this year extraordinarily burnt out. And I definitely know what that feels like. Like I mentioned earlier, I burned out on my career in caring as a caregiver. So I know what that feels like, and I'm so passionate about the insurance industry and my office and my business and the opportunities it gives myself, my team, my customers, everyone, that I knew I didn't want to burn out and hate my job. And really how I came into this year was, I thought, wow, 2021 was so amazing, but I can't do that 30 more times. I'm only 38. I'm going to have to do it at least 30 more times before I'm retired. And I couldn't do it 30 more times. So this year has been an extremely, growth-filled year, I would say. So we are now sitting at the end of December. We are most likely we're not going to hit the goals that I set for myself, and not even like the goals that were a little bit lower, which is a bummer. But I'm excited. I'm excited for 2023 because I think I learned so much this year. A big part of that learning curve was I realized it got to be springtime of 2022, and I just realized I was not getting out of this hole. I was so burned out. I just could not get passionate. My team is amazing. They were showing up every day, doing the work, but I'm ultimately responsible for the vibe and the production and everything that's going in my office, and my kind of bad attitude drug down our production. We did not have a great start to the year, and that was 110% on me. While I think most people know me as probably the most positive person in the world, I felt really, really pessimistic. I was tired. So in May, I hired a business coach who was outside the industry. She's actually from the photography industry, and that was completely life-changing for me. I love listening to insurance guys talk, including you, Michael, but I needed a break. I needed a break from like the insurance rhetoric. And because I mean, you've been in the industry a long time too. You hear a lot of the same stuff and you make 100 phone calls, do this. I needed to talk to somebody and just figure out, get my priorities straight. And I did that with this business coach, and it was really great to see some fresh ideas from somebody who wasn't familiar with the industry, and that has been completely life-changing. I'm so glad I did that, and it was a great investment in my development and my business. So that really got me to a different place. This year I took a lot of time for traveling. Like I said, I didn't travel a lot before, especially the years I was building my career. In 2022, we probably went a little overboard. We did Mexico, Jamaica, Europe. We took a few trips in the States. It was really great. I started a second business. I had a weight loss surgery and lost 75 pounds. So while we didn't hit all of the goals we had for the office, and that's been a really hard pill to swallow for me for these last couple months, if I'm being completely honest, I think I'm in a better place and doing a better thing for my business and the longevity of my business by saying, it may not happen this year. We put in the right amount of business to hit the goals that we wanted to, but it's a long shot if the business comes out on the other side in time. And that's okay, because I learned so much and we're set up for a really, really good 2023. And one of my favorite quotes ever, and it really applied to my experience going from 2021 to 2022, was from Bill Gates. And it's fine to celebrate success, but it is more important to heed the lessons of failure. So I think I needed to have that really successful year last year to fall on my face a little bit this year and learn those lessons. And I'm really thankful, even though we didn't hit those goals, I'm really thankful of what it's setting us up to do in 2023.
I think that's incredible. I thank you for sharing all of that. And I think anyone listening right now, I kind of just took a breath of fresh air, because so many times it's this hustle of hitting and pushing and grinding and hitting these goals. And then you're almost left with this empty feeling of why am I doing this? What is the point? So it's almost like this pendulum swing. And I can hear you talking about that, of going to the extreme of success in business and then really almost recalibrating what's important in your life. And I'm so glad that you brought it up, because we're huge, obviously, proponents of travel and living your life first and then building a business around that. So I would love to hear, in this travel, kind of what is the new version of Katie, and what does that passion look like now? What did you discover when you were out on your adventures?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think I discovered that, and a lot of the work that I did with my business coach this year too was around, and it's something I've heard you guys talk about in some of your social media posts, is we can get there and we can have all the success and we can run a great business without running ourselves into the ground, without the hustle, without the grind. And that's how I got to this point, and that's how I was successful as I have been, was the hustle and grind. But I realized this year, and my husband's career too has grown a lot over the last few years. We went from a very we didn't earn a lot of money to now where his career's grown, we earn a decent amount of money. And then I was like, it's not good for anything if we're not using it and we're not spending time with the kids and enjoying them and traveling. And for me, my two daughters are my daughters from a previous marriage, and then my husband and I have a son together. Our son is only 9, but my girls are a junior and sophomore in high school. So I've really I felt this pressure, like if we're going to do this, we have to do it now, because pretty soon they're going to be grown up and out of the house, and we're going to miss out on this opportunity. So, it's just figuring out what's important and taking the time to be a mom and spend that time with my family and just not hustle. And we're going to hit all of our goals in 2023. I'm confident of it in the business, but we're not going to get there by feeling terrible and hustling and just burning ourselves out. There's no reason for that at all.
Yeah. No, I love that. And we say this all the time at Weaver Sales Academy, but you can be the best business owner, you can be the best insurance professional, you can have the best career, but if things aren't going well personally, none of that shit matters anyways. So my question for you is so what did you learn this year that you're going to implement moving forward to make sure that you don't experience that burnout? Like, what are you changing in 2023 that, like, hey, I'm going to do these 1, 2, 3 things either throughout the year or maybe even on a daily basis that's like, this is what I enjoy, this is what's making me happy, this is what I can focus on that will keep me from burning out?
Yeah, that's a really good question. So I think I built a lot of it into, I did a vision board planning workshop a few weeks ago and built it all into that. And one of the big things is I'm taking time, dedicated time, one-on-one time with each of my kids each week, which is something I've never done before, but I feel like it's an important thing to do and kind of fills up my cup and makes me feel like I'm doing my job as a parent to spend that time with them. So I'm doing that. I'm also made a commitment to myself. I don't know, my husband's busy. I don't know if he's coming along or not, but I would like to go on a trip every quarter. Just even if it's a 4-day weekend to, a couple states away, that works for me. Just getting away, because that really, helps me feel rejuvenated and come back. As far as my team and the office, making sure things go better in 2023 and implementing those lessons, I think I kind of went over after the success of 2021 I always do a end of year planning session with my team. And last year, the targets and the plan that I built out I thought it was simple. It was not simple. It was too complex. So when we did our planning at the end of this year, looking towards next year, I kept it super simple, very much about this is what your responsibility is, this is mine, this is yours, and if we do these things, it's all going to fall into place. So I think I learned that too, learning how to best motivate my team, how to speak to them in a language that motivates them, because they're not motivated by the same things that I am, or they would also be a state farm agency owner. So that's been a learning process too.
That's good.
Yeah, I think that and I'm so glad that you bring this up, just because you're implementing it all the way around. It's the and of like, how do I have success and feel fulfilled in my personal life? And I'm just always obsessed with this concept, because I think that there's so much gold in the and, because it makes us really get creative with how we lead not only our families, but how we lead our teams. Of like, just like you were saying, my team's not all motivated the same way. So I would love to hear how you've incentivized them. Like, what are they motivated by? What are some things that you've incentivized them to make it simple so they know their targets?
I would say I am so fortunate. So I have a really small team. I just have 2 full-time people right now. We have a couple of part-timers that help out here and there. But I have my 2 and their names are, shout out to Lori and Alyssa, because they're the best. I think they are truly, these 2 women are so amazing. I think they're truly motivated by not money, not time off. They are motivated by doing the right thing for our customers. And I think if I ever asked either one of these women to do something like unethical or illegal, they would like walk out the door. They are incredible. And when I hear them talk, and I thought, I'm a very money motivated person. When I was a team member, if you would have had a bonus of $5 to sell 100 policies, I'd have been all over it. They're not. And I think they're more motivated in feeling like what they do matter. Well, I didn't say that right. What they're doing matters. And so I think making sure that me being aware of that and treating them as such, they know what they do matters. And I think they're also motivated by a good work-life balance. They are both in a place where they want to, which I'm generous vacation policy. They're off this whole week. I always give my team off the week between Christmas and New Year's. I think it's kind of the least I can do for all they do for me and our customers and really our family. I mean, when you own a small business, my team they've become family. They know way too much about me. I know way too much about them, but I wouldn't have it any other way because they're amazing. So I think just figuring that out with my team specifically, it's been a learning curve in that I don't think they're so focused about the money and bonuses and you're going to get this trophy on your desk if you do that, which is what I came out trying to do because those are things that would make me excited. I think they're excited by doing a good job and going out to lunch every now and then and just, taking the time to chat about the weekend, really.
Love that.
Yeah, I do too.
So, last question. You may or may not already have this planned. I don't know, but where's the first quarterly trip going to be in 2023? Where are you going?
That's the only one I have planned, so I'm taking suggestions for the rest. But we actually opted, this is the first year we've ever done this. We did not buy any Christmas gifts for the kids. The 5 of us are going to Mexico for the first week of February.
Oh, hell
So
yeah.
very excited.
Experiences. Let's go.
Yeah, that's way better than last year we spent a lot on Christmas on a lot of junk that 3 spoiled kids didn't need. So we're going for experience gifts from now on.
I love this is so good. You've completely repurposed your life and you just sound so invigorated to start a business in the start of COVID, to go all the way through to have this success, then to go, wait a minute, what do I really prioritize? How do I define success? Then to get to here. Now you're going on a vacay with your family. I love it. This has been such a great conversation.
Yeah, I love it. Miss Katie, if someone wanted to follow you, if they wanted to get in touch with you, what's the easiest way for them to do that?
Definitely Facebook. Find me on Facebook. It's Katie Myers, Myers. I will gladly accept your friend request. I want to be friends with everyone on Facebook. I'm not quite there yet, but I'm trying. Also, my TikTok. I'm trying to use that more, and then my Instagram, which I need to get better at too. But yeah, you can find me any of those 3 places, or feel free to shoot me an email. My email is katie@katiemyersjanesville.com. I'm always excited to talk insurance and share ideas and learn from everybody else as well.
I love it. Well, Katie, thank you so much for your time today. For all of those that are listening, if you enjoyed the episode today, make sure you give us a 5-star review. Make sure you text us if you have any questions, comments about the episode, 816-727-7610. And as always, time is the most valuable and important asset that we all have. We appreciate you all spending time with us. Katie, thank you so much again.
Thank you.